I'm Monique Rhodes, and I help people transform their relationship with their mind so they can get unstuck and feel calmer and happier. So my programs are taught in over 70 colleges and universities worldwide and in Fortune 500 companies. Here I share the tools that I use to heal my own life, plus simple, doable practices and real conversations about what actually changes your inner state so you can raise your happiness baseline from the inside out. So there's exactly one thing standing between you and the life you know you're supposed to be living. It's not your bank account. It's not your past. It's not the opportunities you haven't had yet. And it's not the time you feel like you've already wasted. There's just one thing, and it's your mindset. I know how that sounds. I know you've heard that word thrown around so many times that it's almost lost all its meaning. But I want you to stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you is the exact shift that took me from one of the darkest periods of my life to now spending every single day teaching other people how to be happier. And it's so much simpler than you think. So let me tell you where I was when I figured this out. I was 21 years old, and for about a year and a half before that, I had been wallowing. That's the only honest word for it. I'd been through a massive period, the beginning of my self-discovery, the kind that cracks you open, the kind that forces you to look at things about yourself and about your life that you'd spent years avoiding. I was dealing with depression. I'd been through a really dark place at 19, so the darkest place I've ever been. And by 21, even though some part of me had needed that time to just sit with everything, to process everything, I wasn't moving. I was stuck. And the worst part was I genuinely thought I was making progress. Now here's where it gets interesting, because my best friend came to visit me, and she looked at me, she really looked at me, and she said something that I wasn't ready to hear. She told me that it was time for me to get out of it, that it was time for me to start moving forward. And that hit me really hard. Not because it was harsh, but because I knew her. And I knew how much she cared about me. And I knew that for her to feel like she needed to say it out loud, things must have been worse than I was letting myself see. She didn't attack me. She just held up a mirror. And in that moment, what I realized was that I wasn't healing, I was hiding. And there's a difference, because healing means you're moving, even if that movement's slow. But what I was doing was standing completely still and calling it recovery. And that was my moment. That was when I decided that I had to start making steps forward in a completely different way. But here's the trap. And I want you to listen to this carefully, because I guarantee you've fallen into it too. The second I decided I was going to change, the second I made that commitment to myself, my brain immediately tried to show me everything at once. Every step I'd have to take, everything I'd have to fix, every habit I'd have to build, every wound I'd have to work through, every day of effort. Like, it stretched out in front of me like this enormous, endless mountain. And you know what that does to a person, because more than likely you've felt this. It paralyzes you, because the mountain isn't motivating when you're already exhausted. The mountain is terrifying. And so instead of starting, you shut down. And you tell yourself you'll start when you feel more ready. You'll start when things calm down. You'll start when you have a better plan. And days turn into weeks, and weeks turn into months. And that mountain in your mind just gets bigger. Does that sound familiar? This is the single most common reason that people never actually change their lives. It's not laziness. It's not a lack of ambition. It's not some character flaw. It's just the overwhelming weight of looking at the whole journey at once. And so here's the shift. And it's so simple, it almost sounds too easy, but that's exactly the point. Stop looking at the mountain. So when you think about your goal, your dream, the life you want to build, don't ask yourself how you're going to get there. Don't map out the whole journey. Don't calculate the timeline or try and figure out every step in advance. Just ask yourself one question. Where am I going to put my foot next? That's it. One step. Just today. Just one small step forward. And then you're done. Close the laptop. Put down your journal. Go and live your life. You showed up. You moved. And tomorrow you wake up and you ask yourself the same question again. One step every day. Now, I want to talk about something that nobody really says out loud, but I think it's actually the most important part of this whole conversation. A lot of people think that staying still is safe, that if you're not moving forward, you're at least not losing anything. You're just waiting, you're resting, you're buying time until the right moment comes along. But I want to challenge that because I've lived it and I know it isn't true. Staying still has a cost. And you feel it every single day, even if you can't name it. It's that low-level heaviness that you carry around. It's that background noise of, I should be doing more. I should be further along. Something's wrong with me. It's the way you can be in a perfectly good moment and still feel this kind of nagging undercurrent of dissatisfaction that you can't shake. That's not nothing. That's the price of standing still, and it compounds. So every day that you don't move, that feeling gets a little heavier, a little louder, until eventually it stops being background noise and it starts being something that's harder to ignore. It starts being regret and resentment and this creeping sense that time is passing and you're not becoming who you were supposed to become. So here's what I need you to understand. The pain of doing nothing will always be worse than the pain of doing something. Yeah, of course, taking steps is uncomfortable. Moving towards the life you want is scary, it's awkward, and some days it's going to feel completely pointless. That discomfort is real. And I'm not going to pretend to you that it's any different, but it's voluntary discomfort. It's the kind that comes with a direction. You know why you're uncomfortable. Because you're growing, because you're doing something that matters, because you're becoming. And that kind of discomfort has meaning in it. This is the discomfort that is the one that you want. But the discomfort of staying still doesn't have any of that. It's just hollow. It's just the slow, quiet, relentless ache of a life that isn't moving. And I know that ache personally. I lived it for a year and a half. And I can tell you with complete certainty, one uncomfortable step forward beats another day of that feeling every single time. So what does one step actually look like? Because this is where people can overthink. So I want to be clear. A step doesn't have to be impressive. It doesn't need to move the needle in some massive visible way. It just needs to be real. And it just needs to happen today. Maybe it's sending an email that you've been putting off. Maybe it's spending 20 minutes on something you care about. Maybe it's reading one chapter, going for one walk, writing one paragraph, making one phone call. Maybe on a really hard day, it's just getting out of bed and doing one small thing that your future self will thank you for. Some days, you'll feel an extra surge of energy and you'll take 3 steps or 5 steps. You'll get into a real flow and you'll do something genuinely substantial. Those days are incredible. So ride them when they come. But here's what actually builds a life. It's not those days. It's the ordinary days. It's the low energy days, the days when you really don't feel like it, but you remind yourself one step, tiny. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't need to be fast. Just move. Because what you've got to understand is that what matters isn't the size of any single step. What matters is that you're no longer standing still. What matters is that day after day, week after week, you're a person who moves forward. And those steps add up in ways that will genuinely surprise you. Because you'll look back 3 months from now, 6 months from now, and you won't be able to believe how far you've come. Not because any single day was extraordinary, but because you showed up every day and did something. And before you know it, you'll be able to see the top of that mountain just a little bit clearer than before. So I want to bring this back to where I started because I think that matters. I went from 21 years old, stuck, depressed, being told by my best friend that I needed to wake up, to now spending every day of my life teaching people how to increase their happiness. This isn't a small distance. This isn't a short journey. I didn't get there in one dramatic leap. I got there one step at a time, one day at a time. Some days the step was tiny. Some days it was bigger. Some days I honestly didn't want to take any step at all, but I kept moving, and eventually moving became who I am. That's what I want for you. Not overnight success, not some instant transformation, just the quiet, powerful, life-changing decision to stop standing still, to stop looking at the whole mountain, to just ask yourself every single morning, where does my foot go today? So here's the truth I want to leave you with. You can't wait for your life to change. Your life won't change around you while you stay the same. The only way to change your life is to change your life. One small decision, one small action, one single step at a time. You already know the life you want. You already feel the pull of it. The only thing left to do is to start walking towards it. So tomorrow morning when you wake up, don't think about the mountain. Just find where you're going to put your foot and take the step. I hope this has been helpful. One of the most powerful things you can do is have a path forward. I encourage you to come to iintendtobehappy.com. The link's in the description. Go and do the free happiness quiz so you can see where your happiness levels are at, so I can help you become happier. As always, be kind. Take care. Go gently in the world.